Oh, hey. So it's been a while, huh? Um, so I should apologize. I've had a full plate. I had COVID in January, car problems galore, and a fair bit of personal life drama. Good news, most of the bad stuff has gone the way of the dinosaur. I have a new car, a new job, and I helped plan the very first Pride celebration in my county, which we had this April. Needless to say, it's been a wild ride. Before we get started, just a little disclaimer for new viewers. Since it's been a while, I do use a mix of knockoff and official LEGO bricks and sets in my creations. I know some LEGO purists are put off by this, but I make no apologies for it. I don't think the LEGO Corporation is exactly strapped for cash, and I most definitely am on a budget. So I do what I can with the funds I have available. Sorry. But anyway, seeing that it's been so long, I wanted to give people an update and let you know what's going on with the Lego tree. So, the design I showed on the previous videos is pretty much a no-go. I know I'm pretty bummed about it too. It really sucks. Especially after all the hours I spent on it. After getting the bottom tier built and getting it lifted onto the red base, you saw that in the other video, it was on the Lazy Susan, there was a problem. It started to sag, and sag, and sag some more. That, as you can imagine, is a big problem on something that needs to be very stable. I tried a number of solutions, but they just did not work out. So it's been dismantled. I went back to the drawing board, and this is what I came up with. This is the new bones of the tree, for lack of a better term. The red base is still being used. You can kind of see it at the bottom. And that's the part with the Lazy Susan. We added casters to help stabilize the whole thing and also make it level. The casters with the Lazy Susan, they're there to make it less wobbly. They work together, and it makes it smooth as butter. There are dowels designed to be pulled out that will allow me to break the tree down and move or store it. I should mention my father deserves basically all the credit for building the base, so do show him some appreciation. I did provide some input on the design, but a lot of it came from his head too, so he definitely was a big part in making this. But moving on, another issue I found was that the hot glue was just not cutting it. It held really well in my test, but I guess on a bigger scale, it just did not have the strength it needed. I was initially attracted to it as an option because it was less permanent, and I thought it allowed for a better margin of error. But once it was built, it started coming apart in places, and I think it is partially what led to the bottom tier sagging. So I'm chucking that idea, and I'm going with something that, while harder to work with, will hold a heck of a lot better. Good news is I have enough hot glue to probably last me the rest of my life. What I'll ever use it for is beyond me, but I'm sure I'll find some use for it over the next few decades. Thank goodness it's cheap, and I should be able to salvage most of the bricks that I've already used, so that's nice too. Sorry, going off on a bit of a tangent. As you can see, I'm kind of irritated about the waste, but what do you do? I'm using epoxy resin as an adhesive. I've already done a test joining two of the knockoff Duplo blocks together, and another one where I sanded the bottom of one block and left the other the way it was, and then fixed both to a piece of scrap wood. Both tests were a success. The two blocks I joined together would not come apart no matter how hard I pulled, and both the blocks on the board weren't going anywhere either. Looks like I don't have to do any sanding, so that's great. I hate sanding. But it definitely holds better than the Duplos. It's definitely very, 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 very solid, so that's great. There's a downside. Anyone who works with resin probably sees where I'm going with that statement. This stuff takes like 24 hours to completely bond, and until then I have to find a way to hold it in place, which is why you see clamps, some books, and a couple of other things on the bottom shelves. It's kind of hard to see, but those are Lego base plates or knockoff base plates on the bottom, and I'm waiting for them to dry. Or rather, the resin to dry. I found cheap knockoff base plates at the dollar store for $1.25 a piece. This is going to save me a ton of money. I think a Lego brand base plate is like $7-8 a piece. And I really don't have enough for this project, so yeah, hooray for the dollar store! I'm affixing these to the top and bottom of each of the shelves, except for the very bottommost shelf. It's just going to be on the top. I will be cutting them so that they fit along the entire surface, and then once that is complete, I will add the green knockoff Dupo to the outside edges. If this is your first time watching, you probably don't know what the previous tree looked like, but here's a picture just to give you kind of a reference. It's gonna still look quite a bit like that on the outside, but with fewer shelves and some other changes, but we'll kind of cover those as I go through the process and through different videos, and you'll see it as I go along how it looks different and all that fun junk and stuff. When all is said and done, I don't want any wood showing on this thing. Even the center and legs will be covered with Lego bricks, so yeah, I want it to look like a Lego tree. I'm not hiding the fact that it's bones or wood, but I at least want it to look all Lego, so there's that. And here we have some of the newer sets I'll be adding to the tree, or rather most of them will be getting added to the tree. On the bottom most of the visible shelves you'll see a little rainbow pin rack. I actually just bought that for the tile pieces. I'll be using those on the pirate ship train. The box for that is sitting on top of a big stack of base plates, the ones I got from the dollar store. In front of that, we have the little bench on the far left. This is 2 different dollar store knockoff brand brick benches made into one bench. If you have ever seen Forrest Gump, I mean, who hasn't? But if you haven't, when he's telling his story, he's sitting on this big bench waiting for the bus, and he's telling it to these people who happen upon him as they're also waiting for the bus. I thought it'd be cute to have a little Forrest Gump sitting on the bench waiting for one of the trains, telling his tale. Next up, there's Scooby-Doo, the Gang, and the Mystery Machine. These are cheap Chinese knockoffs. I really, really wanted the real set, but alas, these are discontinued and ridiculously expensive. So I managed to procure the knockoff versions. The mansion sitting on the shelf above, that is also a Chinese knockoff Scooby-Doo set. I bought it mainly so I could have the Velma and Daphne figures, and I will be cannibalizing that for other creations. It's not really that noticeable in this, but it got partially disassembled and I kind of just threw it together so it looks a little haphazard. Back to the shelf below, there is the Xenomorph Queen, one of the aliens from the Alien film franchise, if you've never seen it. Mattel makes this one as part of their Mega Constructs line. I plan to build a Ripley, who is the protagonist of the Alien movies. I was going to put her in a mech from the Aliens film, that's the second in the franchise, and I figured I'd have the two of them duking it out. Should be kind of fun. Then there's the Doctor from the sci-fi series Doctor Who, the TARDIS, and Amelia Pond, or at least I think it's supposed to be Amelia Pond. Kind of hard to tell, these figures are really cheap. I won't be using the bodies. I may try to put the heads on Lego minifigures, but we'll have to see how this looks or if they'll even fit. The blue Lego mug that you see there is actually not going to be part of the tree, but I brought it over accidentally in a box of stuff when I was setting up for this video. I think it's cute, so it stayed. Most of the time I use it as a pen holder. I don't really recall how it got mixed in there, but hey, you get to see my mug, so hey, fun. I did have some neat ideas for this newer version of the tree that I don't think would have been possible before. There's a lot more space between the tiers, and there's also fewer tiers, but that's neither here nor there. I thought it'd be cool to build an upside down world and have the upside down parts and minifigures interacting with the right side up parts and have people climbing up and down the poles and legs. I thought it'd be funny to have a little hatch open up and have a little mini figure poking his or her head through, or their head through. I may include a Lego roller coaster that would flip upside down, if that's even feasible with the Lego sets, and go back and forth between the upside down and right side up parts. Worth noting, a former coworker actually gave me the idea to use the roller coaster sets, because we've actually talked about my tree. He's a Lego fanatic too, but I didn't think it would work with the previous design, but since I may be using it now, I thought I'd give him credit. I won't use his name to protect the innocent, but if he's watching, he knows who he is, and he can speak up in the comments. It's going to be wild. I also had this idea of constructing a building around the center pole on each tier, which doesn't sound that groundbreaking, but I plan to put the buildings on hinge plates so I can unfold them and pull them free when dismantling the tree for storage. This is kind of inspired by the old Lego set. If you grew up in the 90s, it was a little castle that you could fold out. Consequently, one of those buildings is actually going to be a castle. It's going to be a lot bigger than that set because I'm a big kid now and I like to build more intricate designs, and that one was pretty basic. I actually had it growing up. It was probably the cheapest castle set. The most expensive castle set my family could afford at the time, so that's what I got. But anyway, I'm going off on a tangent again. Another idea I had for the tree would be for the Lego Stargate design I made. It would be great to get some kind of cylinder. I don't think there's an official Lego one that would work. If there is, I would definitely use it, but if I can't find one. But anyway, I would fill this cylinder. It'd be pretty with transparent, like blue and clear studs, and motorize it, and I could add like a sparking backlight behind it and make a Lego version of the event horizon from the show, so it looks like the Stargate is active. For those unfamiliar with the series, it's basically like an alien device that they use to travel to other planets. And it uses a artificially created wormhole. So the event horizon is this like blue rippling thing that you see, and it looks pretty neat. So yeah, recreating a Lego version of that sounds awesome. And on the bottom tier, I'm changing. I don't think I initially planned for this to be on the bottom, but I'm putting the Lego pirate ship on the bottom tier. It's going to be the water level. There's a couple different reasons for this. Mainly that I want room for some of the ideas I have, which I'll go into in a minute. And it's going to be the biggest train, so it's close to the ground, less likely to have issues with all that, have the most weight on the bottom. It's probably going to have a lot of the most working parts, because again, I'll get to that in a minute. So, I have the train mostly finished, but because I was having trouble finding some of the pieces I wanted for the design I made, I actually elected to modify an official Lego set for my needs, and I mean an official set. I actually bought it for this purpose. I need to go through my Lego bricks and find the train motor, which I have no idea where it is. I haven't seen it in a while, so I'll update that when I find that and when I make the other modifications. But I'll share that once it's completed. I think I'm gonna have to lower the mass and everything so that it's closer to the deck of the ship, but that's just because of height requirements and all that. Now, onto the moving parts bit I mentioned. I watched a video from JK Brickworks. He has great videos. I definitely recommend following him. He made a Zelda Wind Waker set with a link on a boat with working waves. I'll link to it in the description, but I've already purchased some of the pieces I need to make my own version. I want to buy his. The train obviously can't go on it, but I would hope it'll at least give it the appearance of water crashing against the pirate ship. And of course, that's not to say there won't be other creations surfing the waves. I definitely want to do like the water skier thing I mentioned before, and I'm going to have a little castaway boat. I thought that would be hilarious. If you've ever seen the movie Castaway, I could put, I think I said boat, but it's actually a raft, and he has his volleyball with a face on it. He named Wilson. So have Wilson on there, have his raft, and have this bearded guy from the movie. Be pretty fun. And that about does it for everything. Thanks for watching. Hope you have a deliciously devious day. Stay tuned for future videos. Please click the subscribe button and the notification bell if you'd like to see further videos. And you can follow me on social media. Again, the links will be in the description. My social media profiles do not talk about Lego stuff that much. It's mainly queer craps, which is not the trivial queer stuff. I just say crap a lot. But anyways, I talk about queer issues, mainly trans issues. So if that's your cup of tea, follow me. If not, that's okay too. Have a nice day. Stay classy. And I'm out.